research is not like writing any paper that we do. It's not essay writing. It's much more than that. So I feel that if the student has done it with passion, a lot of passion, with a lot of rigor, a lot of truthfulness, that is very important. Because when we are talking of research, copying, pasting, chat GPT, that won't work.
Welcome to the Global R Hub podcast, where we explore the transformative power of research and education. I am Dr. Neharika Srivastava, the Director of Global Research Hub, and today we have a very special guest, a highly respected former IS officer and renowned academician, Mrs. Mridula Sinha ma'am. Mrs. Sinha ma'am brings a wealth of experience spanning decades, having held key positions such as Principal Secretary for Women and Child Development and Director General of the Jharkhand State Nutrition Mission. Her work has been instrumental in designing impactful policies and including nutrition strategies and empowerment initiatives for adolescent girls and maternal health programs in collaboration with global organizations like UNICEF, USAID, and the World Bank. Beyond her administrative achievement, Mrs. Sinha ma'am has transitioned into academia, contributing to the global environment and developmental research during her time at the University of Southern California and through various consultancies with international agencies like IFAD and IFC. Her expertise lies in gender studies, environmental sustainability, and designing participatory data driven development strategies. Today, we'll delve into her remarkable journey, explore the role of research in education and policy, and discuss how research empowers students, enhances career readiness, and drives societal progress. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. It's truly an honor to have you here, ma'am.
Thank you for having me, Neharika, and thanks for such a wonderful, elaborate introduction. And great, you talking from India and I talking from Tampa, Florida. It's truly
Yeah,
going to be a global
I'm
exchange of
actually
ideas.
excited. Yeah, I'm actually excited for this entire
Same here.
conversation.
Same here.
So thank you so much, ma'am, for taking out time and joining us, ma'am. So I think, ma'am, we can just start about your journey. So we would like to know here that your journey serving as an IS officer in India and then transition into academia in USA, which is truly inspiring. But can you share what motivated you to do this, ma'am? Yeah.
Beginning with IS, like IS is a career, as you know, that you start very early and you start seeing ups and downs of lifetimes and situation. You start accumulating a lot of experience in the field, at the policy level. There comes a time when you feel that whatever you have seen in reality, you
Hmm.
need to see it in the theoretical perspective also. And that was the reason I thought that, like whatever I have gathered in terms of real experience doing things, can I see it from the perspective of theory? And that was the reason I first went to Columbia University to do a master's in economic policy management. Then I moved to Institute of Southern California, and this journey has been remarkable, I would say. I mean, then I could see that there is no gap between theory and action. In fact, both
Oh.
complement each other.
Oh, I think, I don't see people thinking like this, so easily. So this is the really inspiring, ma'am. But, like every journey comes with some challenges, ma'am, and then the opportunities also. So, I mean, we just want to understand what kind of challenges or opportunities you encountered, while making this transition an IS officer in India and then into academics in US, ma'am.
This
Yeah.
is a very good question because it's very difficult to live a very settled life and try to do something new. Because, like once you start pushing the new horizons, you don't know, you are venturing into unknown. Apart from that, there was not major challenge. In fact, it was easy because, IS also, this being in the civil service teaches you to face a lot of hardship, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of things which can't be predicted. And academia was exciting. So the excitement was so much that I forgot everything else. everything else, my life in India, my the comfort that I had, the kind of things I was doing, the authority, everything. You totally, it's very addictive actually, Niharika, being in the academic world.
Yeah.
Very addictive.
It is actually, and it's not an easy transition. And ma'am, you took the step. So
Depends on individual also.
yeah,
Yeah.
actually, ma'am, yeah. So, it does.
Yeah.
So, just wanted to understand, ma'am, what are some of the lessons, from your work in governance that, you have found particularly relevant in academic setting, ma'am, from governance to academics, you transition. So just wanted to know your.
This is a very good question, Niharika, because when we were, you know, that in the initial years we work in the field and we implement a lot of policies and
Yeah.
programs of government. At that time, we don't realize, the program comes to us, the budget comes to us, we implement it with full sincerity. However, once you move to the policy sector, then you realize that every policy which the government brings about is based on so much research. There's so much academic input already. So when I looked at, for example, I don't know, you must be knowing about the Right to Education Act.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It was promulgated in
Yeah, yeah,
2009 and it
yeah,
was enacted in 2012. So
yeah.
Right to Education Act was, it looks like a very simple act that, okay, free education, compulsory education, and the accountability not on parents, but on government. So all
Mm.
these things, I was part of the executive committee when
Okay,
it was at the formulation stage. And then
okay.
I realized that it was not an easy decision. Everything was debated very forcefully. There were consultants, there was data, there were reasons why. For example, we thought that in India, it can't be parents' responsibility, it has to be
Huh,
government's responsibility because of the low level of literacy,
huh,
poverty, dropout rates, why children drop out, all those things. So then I realized that every policy requires very solid foundation of research, very solid foundation of understanding. So when I moved to the academic world, I realized that, like whatever one learns, like even in a day-to-day life, whatever you're doing, it can all be related to some theory somewhere. Some smart person, some entrepreneur has done something, has pushed the boundaries of knowledge. Therefore, we're able to understand, we're able to, there's absolutely no contradiction between action and knowledge. Both are linked.
side by
You have
side, yeah.
action based on knowledge, yeah. And knowledge brings more action, action brings more knowledge. It's kind of interlinked, both are
Yeah,
interlinked.
highly correlated, yeah.
Highly correlated, yes.
Ma'am, just wanted to understand, imagine taking a decision who will take the responsibilities of those kids. For that also, so much of research must have been done. Small, small. Who are the
Absolutely.
teachers? Where are those schools?
Yeah,
Must
and
be.
research of very high quality, Niharika. I mean, it was not an easy thing
Yeah,
to look at the entire data of the country. I mean, you had such high level of consultants, such high level of rigorous research. I mean, it was not a kind of thing. I mean, nothing is based on opinions. See, policymakers, I mean, especially when
yeah,
it comes to the political system, they can
yeah,
fall into the trap of ideology. However,
yeah,
ideology alone, it cannot work in a vacuum. It
huh,
has to be translated into workable,
yeah.
implementable ideas. And in
Okay,
order to bring that, you have to have some conviction, and that
okay,
conviction has to be based on data, on a
okay.
very, very good understanding of what is happening around you.
Okay, okay. So no, I actually personally, ma'am, I have read some papers of these policy researchers, and I've seen like the way they do research. So first of all, it's not just one person; it's a team, big team, and they do it on different scenarios. Scenario
True.
A, B, C. They calculate the risk of
Yes.
every scenario. So it's a lengthy calculation, and
Yes.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I
and rigorous. All the tools of research is used. I mean, it's not just you can just give an opinion. Everything
yeah,
needs to be challenged. It's peer reviewed. It's I mean, like you have to establish what you're saying is right. Then
exactly.
only it passes. We have a very rigorous process of passing any legislation. I mean, it has to pass through the entire. All the stages have to be covered. So yeah, it's exciting.
Sometimes must be very interesting, but sometimes very like, very stressful also because, you have deadlines also and then you have
Yeah,
budgets
but you're
also.
doing
Yeah.
with a cause, when your passion
Yeah.
for doing anything is so much, you feel, I mean, you feel very enthused about it. You're doing things, you're
Yeah.
seeing things happening around you. At least
Yeah.
I was very passionate about whatever I did.
No, I think, ma'am, it's truly remarkable, ma'am. So,
Thank
just
you.
like, yeah. So, just like moving the entire discussion of like, role of research in education, ma'am. So, just wanted to understand from you, how do you see the role of research evolving in modern education system? Education system is changing now.
Yeah.
And why is it essential for students today? Like, why do we say,
Oh, wow.
to
This is a very, very interesting question, Niharika. So
yeah.
you used words like research, modern, and student. So let me
Yeah.
double click on these three words. So
Okay.
starting with research. So research, like look around yourself. You have so many information, so much. You are in the ocean of information. However,
Yeah.
where is knowledge? Knowledge is drowned in that ocean, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what can take out that knowledge from this entire ocean of information? Research, the tools
Research.
that
Yeah.
you employ, right? So this is about research. I'm just trying to contextualize it. Now, coming to modern, I no longer use this word. What is modern today is obsolete tomorrow, Niharika, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
every day we are in a very, very dynamic world. I mean, the world in our entire history, we were never in this dynamic situation that every day new things are coming up.
Yeah.
Every day, new things are happening. So,
Yeah.
as we are in a very dynamic society. I mean, let's not use the term modern anymore. Modern is a historical term. So it's a day-to-day living, day-to-day uh, accepting certain realities which just confront you, right? Certain facts, some discovery. And then coming to students, like students,
Yeah.
who's a student is a person who is in quest of knowledge by definition, right? He's in quest of knowledge. In ancient times also, if you see, they used to go to Gurukul and they used to be Satyarthi, in quest of truth. So child, you would see a child is always curious, right?
Yeah.
And curiosity is nothing but, I mean, research is nothing but formalization of this curiosity.
Yeah.
So as a student also, if you have to succeed as a student, you have to know the truth. That is research. I mean, through research, you have to uh, be acquainted with whatever is happening around you. So, in that context, I would think research in modern times, as you say, though I don't use this term anymore, in modern time is essential for a student. I mean, research, let's not understand it in terms of PhD dissertation. Research is just being curious. Like, remember, I think Einstein had said that I don't have any special talent, but I'm passionately curious about things. So we don't know how many Einsteins are there among us.
No, I truly, and I think the word modern can also be replaced by like, how updated you are every day. Or how,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, or how much you are upgrading yourself, like, every
Yes.
day. So every
Cutting
morning
edge.
getting an edge, yeah. So every morning you get up, first of all, you be thankful, okay, you got the stage to learn something,
Yes.
to
Yes.
basically, to discover something of your own. And
Right.
then, yeah, so I completely, I am with you, ma'am, that modern is it's not a word to be used and that too, for students.
Anymore, because modern
Yeah.
something which is so dynamic now. So yeah,
Exactly.
the
So
day to day
everyone
thing.
is modern nowadays. So
Yeah,
yeah, but
has to be.
you have to be to survive. So
Absolutely.
so now coming to like, again, to be modern and to be curious. Okay, so you also understand, ma'am, in India we have different patterns of education. Like, we have different, like talking about schools, we have state boards and you have like nowadays, they're coming up with IB board and IGCSE curriculum, and
Right.
then we have CBSE curriculum. So the pedagogy is changing every day. Teachers are being trained on new pedagogy, new AI tools also. But just wanted to understand that how can engaging in a refined research, at an early age helps in building a strong academic foundation. In the sense, I want to know that, which phone is best within 10,000 rupees. That's also a research, but that's not a very like, structured
Scientific.
research.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, so, but then, what can be an effect of buying this 20,000 rupees phone on my monthly expenditure? This is a
Mhm.
kind of a more structured like research. So how important it is like, to engage in these kind of empirical research, at an early age for a student to bring
Early
us,
learners
yeah,
always, yeah, I get your question. Early learners always have tremendous advantage. It's like learning an alphabet. How fast we learn a language when we are young, how good we are when we start swimming at an early age. Right? It's like that. So it becomes part of your being. You start thinking like that. You start acquiring those tools which come if you start at a very late stage. It's very difficult to, I mean, it's not difficult, but it's not easy to acquire those tools. But if you start learning in a very systematic manner right from the school days and start having a scientific approach towards uh, seeking knowledge. I mean, knowledge is everywhere, but how do you go deep into it, and what tools are required to go deep into it? That becomes absolutely essential, and that gives tremendous advantage to that student who starts early. I mean, even writing a nice project report. I mean, I have seen now in schools, every curriculum, though I would think that research should be done beyond your classroom teaching also. I mean, it's something which comes like, the way you go to play tennis, the way you go to play swimming, in the
yeah.
same way. There
Mm,
should be a kind of intellectual fulfillment. I mean, everybody in every child. Remember, I don't know, I have a daughter. So when she was
yeah.
growing up, when before she went to school, she had so many questions. I mean, every parent is tired of answering those questions
Yeah, ma'am,
because
I'm going through that.
yeah. So like there's a natural inclination in every child to he wants to know, or he or she wants to know about things around
Yeah.
them. However, you must have noticed that the moment they come to a very formal education system, they're too tightly structured. Like it's kind of thing that you can't go beyond this. I mean, they are not told, but it
Yeah.
takes the entire energy, and they're kind of conditioned into thinking in a particular way, doing particular kind of things, which I think is not normal, because normally a child is very curious. So to sustain that curiosity with the child is born and start noticing things around him or her, that sustainability comes when we start inculcating this desire to learn things in a very, very scientific manner. So yeah,
So I
answering the
think,
question.
yeah, answering the question, sometimes I've seen even, I mean, parents also, they get sometimes irritated answering their question. And some of the questions you can't even answer. I see my son, I have a 5 years old son, ma'am,
Yeah,
you know, unlimited questions, and I don't have an answer.
unlimited.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
I'm
So
like,
don't
okay.
you think that we should sustain that?
But
I mean,
it's
why
wrong
should
on
we?
my part, I guess. I feel sometime,
No, no,
that.
no. It's not that. I mean, like we have to even this climate of curiosity should be sustained even at home and in
Yeah,
school and outside school also. That is very important,
that's
and that
very
is why
important.
like I mean these organizations like RHAB and all can play a very, very critical role.
Absolutely, ma'am. And that's our like, everyday objective and motive. And that with that energy, we get up in the morning, the entire team, and we work toward that,
So
ma'am.
that's wonderful. Yeah, wonderful.
So, ma'am, like, just wanted to understand, like, can you have any example to discuss of a student, ma'am, who's,
Uh, there
yeah,
are
yeah,
several
ma'am.
students. Like when I was in the US system, I was, like you go when you are a grad student, you go as a TA. I mean, that's how you support yourself as a
Yeah.
TA or research
Uh-huh.
assistant. I remember my first class as a teaching assistant in a general education class. It was
Okay.
a just freshers, high schoolers who had just joined. Day one of my class. And then, like there was general introduction. We want to know who is who and what, which school they went to. So you won't believe, Niharika, everyone stood up and said, "My name is so and so. I came from this high school, and my research interest is so and so." I was amazed because, coming from Indian system, by
Yeah.
then I did not even know. I mean, let me accept, I did not even know how to write a proper scientific paper. Paper writing is not just writing anything.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
has
yeah.
certain
But
formalities which you have to do, like how you do the literature review, how do you the referencing, how do you, like all those things. And they were so well versed. And then I also saw in the admission process. See, admission is 360-degree in most of these foreign universities, not in India, but in foreign universities I have seen. And in that 360-degree, your SAT score is not what they're looking at. They're looking at many things, that how you have challenged yourself, what has been your extracurricular activity. So people write a lot of things, like you can't challenge them on extracurricular activities. They say that they were this, they were that, they played and they were in the dramatic society. That's okay. I mean, it was a common thing in every paper. But any paper which had a kind of input about some paper written, or some paper published, or some
mm-hmm.
such research oriented interest which is visible in the paper, and that definitely stood out. So it's not about one student only, I can see. I mean, there are many, as several I have seen, they have taken advantage. I mean, that makes your CV look great. And also, it's not only CV, it's not only about admission. Even if you get admission, so what? I mean, if you're not sustaining, if you're not curious, if you're not intellectually challenging yourself, the story ends there. So, like a person who can sustain the research interest. Again, research, I'm talking in a very broad way. I mean, I'm not saying that
Yeah.
everybody should be writing PhD dissertation and
Yeah,
doing a
yeah.
doctorate like you. but but I feel that everybody who takes extra interest, I mean, if something is taught in the class, if he's able to do a lot of reference work around it, if he's able to go beyond what is being taught in the class, that individual succeeds as a student, that individual succeeds later on in life also. Innovates,
No,
like human
ma'am.
innovation.
Actually, I connect with this personally also because a typical 90s kids, okay, so during our time, marks oriented, getting marks was something very important for us, how much marks you scored out of 100, that was something very important. But I
Right.
remember, ma'am, when I joined my PhD program, I mean, I didn't have an idea of to write a proper research paper, maybe some basic literature analysis I knew, but how do you actually do some data analysis and come out with your own thinking? I had no idea about that, ma'am. And that actually, I faced problem. So I used to just think during that time also, I wish I had done this in school, you know. I wish
Yeah.
I had done
To have
this
a
in school.
background, to have an orientation.
Exactly.
Similarly, I faced a lot of problem. I go from my IIS desk to Columbia University, and there,
Okay.
everybody is so equipped
Yeah.
in such a research-heavy environment. And then I
Yeah.
had to work hard. I mean, harder than others, I would say, to
Yeah.
like overcome those gaps which I had in India.
Yeah.
And
So,
it's not just writing paper. The attitude. If you're a person who is empirically, oriented, when you're able to take out fact from fiction, then you no longer forward opinions, for example. I mean, we see what's
exactly.
happening. Then you no
Yeah.
longer belong to this post-truth world. You're able to, and so important in today's world, that you're able to see the truth for yourself. And for all
Yeah.
this, you need that orientation of empirical understanding of things. It's very important.
So yeah, I completely agree, ma'am. And this curiosity, thinking, and empirical should not stop at any age. It can start right from like 1 or 2 years,
Any
and it should not stop anywhere, ma'am.
No, 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 it
So,
should not stop. I mean, we should keep,
not
I mean,
stop. We,
I keep doing, like keep trying to find out what's going on around me. I mean, I'm
yeah.
sure everybody does, because, there's so much information, but where is the fact? Where is the truth? The, pushing the intellectual horizon is the most addictive thing. It's
No,
fantastic.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, ma'am. So, ma'am, like, just wanted to understand that, like any individual, they have done some studies, some research done. Now everyone looks for a job,
Right.
some, yeah. So, like, generally when somebody goes for an interview, so employers, what do they look for that are directly enhanced by a student who's involved in research, ma'am? What are those qualities, they look?
This doing research is one unique quality. So the moment your CV has that particular thing, it means that your application would stand out. That is first thing, because not everybody, although there are thousands of applications for any job, but not everybody would have done it. I mean, other things being common, everybody must have done good education, good this, good that, good experience, but doing research puts you in a special category. That is one. Apart from that, if an employer sees that this person has done some credible research, I mean, I won't say that research for the sake of research, but some credible work has been done by that person. That means immediately the employer would think that this person has challenged himself. There was no reason for him to do that, but he has done. Not only that, this person has analytical and critical abilities. This person understands data. This person can process information, for example, because anybody who has done good research would have processed a lot of information, would have the analytical tools, would have other, like qualities of conceptualization, would have asked a research question, like that means the person is curious. I mean, research is not just research. You start with a research question that you are wanting to push the boundaries of frontiers of knowledge, right? So that way you stand out and you'll be very, I mean, very few applicants would have that quality, unfortunately, especially in the subcontinent,
Yeah.
our subcontinent.
Yeah, actually, this happens, because there could be many reasons behind it. Probably education.
Whatever, yeah, but this is the
Whatever,
reality we
yeah.
should accept, like, and
So,
we have to kind of grow from there. We have to
yeah.
understand why.
So, after doing any research, ma'am, there's also an important thing to publish the paper also, in a very good platform, so that it is your work is cited, people see your work, people use your work. So, from your point of view, what's the importance of publishing research in a good journal, and what common challenges generally students face when they have to process their publishing work, so what are
Yeah,
the yeah.
yeah, I think publishing is extremely important because that puts you. I mean, then it's accepted that your research was accepted by the larger audience. It's is peer reviewed, and they have seen something. Like research is not just any research. I mean, research should be something new. Why would one read your paper unless you are bringing up something new on the table, right? So that means that you have done something. That's the acceptance of your scholarship, that you have done something which is adding to the whole uh, whatever existing knowledge we have in a certain area. So publishing one establishes you as a good researcher. That is the first point. Second is that uh, publishing is challenging because like especially as a student, you start, like selection of topic, for example. So there's you want to know about everything. I mean, I'm okay. You can do on Homer, you can do on T.S. Eliot, you can do on uh, Deep Sea, or whatever. But things should be, like if you really want to be published, you have to really know which journal, uh, which publication house supports that kind of research. I mean, the alignment between what you have done and where you are wanting to publish is very important because like if you are doing, for example, something on bird flu and you bring it to a social science paper, that may not work. So first, identification of a good paper that where which aligns with my interest, that you have to
Yeah.
keep in mind. Second thing is that you should not, I mean, publishing anywhere also is not a very good idea because, like it should really, I mean, you should give priority to quality, to its reach. You have done a research that reaches the larger audience. Why would, I mean, knowledge is for dissemination. Knowledge should be for everyone. So you have to look for a paper or a journal where your research reaches to the larger audience, where people give you feedback. So, in fact, feedback before publishing, you have to really take your paper through very rigorous process of peer review. You should not be shy of accepting certain flaws in a paper. Right from the beginning, you have to be very particular that there the role of mentorship and guided research comes. that you have to, right from selection of your research question to using the methodology to coming to a certain kind of conclusion to analysis, everything needs to be done in a very rigorous manner. Like research is not like writing any paper that we do, it's not essay writing, it's much more than that. So I feel that if the student has done it with passion, a lot of passion, with a lot of rigor, a lot of truthfulness, that is very important. Because when we are talking of research, copying, pasting, chat GPT, that won't work. I mean, we should not even
That doesn't
do that.
work. Yeah,
That
that does.
doesn't work. It has to be an honest work, honest analysis, honest collection of data, honest analysis. Then I think there shouldn't be any problem. I mean, it's easy if you can bring something on table, like add to the knowledge pool.
Absolutely, ma'am. In fact, I feel that sometimes, a good publication actually, when you actually try to identify where is the problem, what has not been addressed in a domain, it I think starts with a very good literature. You just reading the literature paper and identifying the literature gap, and the more gap you analyze, the more specific about the gap, which is yet to be addressed, and then you start your, I think, paper writing or research, like, research to find out the solution to that problem. Then I
Yes,
think it
I mean,
becomes a very authentic.
absolutely agree with you because it has to be something new. You can't be writing the third law of Newton again, right? The
Yeah.
world does not need it. World probably
Doesn't.
needs something more than that, something which has not been done. That is the beauty of
Exactly.
research. And there is still so much, like what do we know about things? I mean, still we don't know anything. It's the tip of the iceberg. If you see where we
Yeah.
are today and
Exactly.
what all can be done, the potential of research in any area, that's
Yeah.
what I was saying. You can do in any area. You can do in literature, you can do in sciences, you can do in social sciences, you can do in math, whatever. But you should have that passion. And you should know that what is the gap, existing gap in that particular area, and pursue
Yeah.
it passionately. Passionately and scientifically. I mean, it's very important. It should be
Exactly.
done
Yeah.
very,
So
very
that
scientifically.
so it goes side by side, your passion and
Yeah.
then learning the tools and
Passion.
scientific
Yeah.
tools
Because
rather.
it
Yeah.
can be a rigorous process. I mean, it can be
Yeah.
excruciating, I would say, if you're really into it.
I
But
remember, ma'am, when I started my research journey, I would take out the printouts of the paper and at the night, I would underline each line and like, read it, and then if I would not understand sometimes simple words also, I would like, Google it, what's the meaning or dictionary, I would use
but
it.
But didn't you feel Niharika is such an exciting phase
It was so
when you are in that
exciting.
process?
Yeah.
Very exciting,
Very
very exciting.
exciting. And I've seen, ma'am, like, I've read paper, only one paper for 1 week. It has also happened with me because, to understand, to connect the
Yeah, to
dots,
understand, to
it
connect the
took me
dots. Yeah,
time.
it's very
It took me
important,
time,
extremely.
yeah. Because
But it's a lot of fun also. I mean, I
it's
would think
actually
that
a lot of fun. Yeah, because I was coming from a traditional education system where we had a course book to study, give the
yeah,
exam.
to
So
study exam and
yeah, so
standard
that
question papers. Yeah,
that thing was not developed in me. I think within a course of this PhD, thanks to my PhD journey, journey. So it actually
but
helped
it's
me,
easy
ma'am.
to develop. I mean, Niharika, don't you realize it's easy? I mean, it's not that
Very easy,
it's
ma'am.
not
Yeah.
rocket science. Anybody
Yeah.
can do it. Anybody with
No.
right kind of passion, attitude, and guidance can
Yeah.
definitely do it.
Yeah. So, and I think one should enter into research only when you are very passionate and you're curious about it, not for the job sake or not for like to have something on your CV. No, I don't think so. It should also be,
That's a secondary thing. I
yeah,
mean, that would come. I mean, that will come
that would
naturally. That will
come.
follow.
Yeah.
That will
Yeah.
follow. It's like there's a people say that you should do well in life and whatever you want will follow. But you should
Exactly.
do whatever you're doing with full passion. And other things follow. I mean, they are not important. You don't do for the sake of, you know, getting a good job or getting good salary. No, you should be good, intrinsically good.
Yeah,
At the,
and for society also it's really good. You never know your research can give
oh,
something
yeah,
to
yeah.
society. It's really good.
Well, I mean, all whatever we are today, Niharika,
Yeah.
whatever around us, I mean, we take it for granted. Our day-to-day reality is nothing but somebody's rigorous work. Somebody who was, like if you see the earlier days, how people were criticized for bringing up a new idea, right?
It
You've seen,
it it happens to
people
some
don't
extent till
accept.
today also. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like new
uh,
ideas always challenged, because something,
yeah,
like you're challenging the status quo. Nobody likes that status quo to be challenged. So,
Yeah.
like somebody has put in so much effort, time, so
Yeah.
that we are today what we are today, right? We
Yeah,
are, for
ma'am.
example, we are able to do this call, we are able to talk, we are able to read, we are able
Yeah.
to talk about things. Somebody has done it. Didn't come, look, okay, let's go very far. Somebody discovered fire. Somebody discovered the wheel. Somebody discovered the agricultural practice. Somebody or group of people discovered the
Yeah.
agricultural practices. So we go on building in a civilization. If you look at the whole civilization, the way it has gone,
Yeah.
every phase we have been adding,
Somebody
and it's
discovered mobile phone.
extraordinary.
Somebody must have laughed,
It's not a
like,
divine thing.
walking on street and you're talking on phone. How is it possible? But
It's
today,
not a divine thing. It is.
so ma'am, like, yeah. So talking about like, when we talk about publication, when we talk about research, when we try to get like, let's suppose, research is helping us to get scholarship or job, so I think somewhere the correct mentorship, rather at the correct time, that plays a very crucial role, I guess.
True.
uh
I mean, yeah, I mean, like in a formal research setup also, if you are doing a master's thesis, if you're doing PhD dissertation, you have formally assigned mentor for you. Similarly, mentor is the person, mentorship is important for everyone. I mean, not only for a research scholar, because mentor is
yeah,
a person who can see the hope inside you and make you see that there's
exactly.
something, you have the potential. So a good mentor for a guided research is extremely important because he or she, in your case, guides the entire process. I mean, the mentor would tell you what about the research question, would make refine that. A mentor will teach you about the tools. Mentor will constantly give you rational feedback on what you're doing. Mentor will be kind of like holding your hand. I mean, research is a very very, as I said, a very it can be a very tough process, tough journey to come to truth. Any discovery of truth is very tough. So a mentor is not only there for professional or academic support, he's also for emotional support. You start having a bond with your mentor, and that's a kind of lifelong bond. I mean,
It's a lifelong bond, ma'am. Yeah.
lifelong bond. I mean, like then you can confide in, share your weaknesses, share your fear, share your insecurities about your research work with a mentor. And mentor takes you beyond that also. In fact, once your research paper is ready, the mentor will guide you about where to send it, which conferences to attend, who to connect with, how to network. So mentor has a very comprehensive role and a very significant role in the entire journey of research. And the research for the, like we talk of guided research, and guided research is extremely important for young kids. You need to have very good mentors who are experienced, mentors who have something to contribute. Mentors must have a lot of patience because,
Yeah, very
as Mrs.
important.
Saying,
Very,
is
very
not is not easy, especially
important.
the initial phase of research question and hypothesis testing and literature review. All those things are so vast. The
It's
mentor
a
will
long
steer you.
journey with mentorship, ma'am. It's a
Yeah, I
very
mean,
long.
kind of guided. The
Yeah,
mentor shows you the path where to go.
exactly. And I think once you're in a formal research setup, it also matters that, um, with mentor, how much you're interacting with the external world also. Like, suppose you go to conference. The conference is generally for a theme. So within your theme, there'll be other researchers also coming over there. So, your mentors can actually guide you to which conference to go, from where do you meet such people. So I
Yeah,
think,
because
yeah,
yeah, in research, networking is so important. I mean, if you want
very
to do something,
important,
you have to
ma'am.
network to make yourself visible. Like visibility. If you've done something, you can't keep it in your house. You can't keep it in your
Yeah,
bag. It has to come out in the open. And it will come out in the open only when you're able to network, you're able to have the right kind of peer review, right kind of conferences, right kind of meeting with professors in
yeah.
industry. For all those things, mentor has a very, very critical role. You
It
just
is,
can't do
ma'am.
without a good mentor,
No,
good
it is,
mentor.
ma'am. In fact, ma'am, I was personally very lucky to have very good mentors. My PhD was in clean development mechanism, carbon market. So India was at a very nascent stage. It's still at a very nascent stage. So we didn't have data, ma'am. So I remember in a conference, somebody told me you can visit CDM pipeline database, which was maintained by UNDP and University
Mhm.
of Dutch Amsterdam. A
Mm.
small hint actually helped me to
Oh
get a
yeah,
sampling frame.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
And sometimes I have met many research scholars here, and they feel almost lost. It can be frustrating, at times that you're not reaching anywhere.
yeah,
Your data supporting your hypothesis. I mean, a lot of
yeah.
things can happen. A lot of things can happen. So those moments, you need somebody to support you, to understand you, what's
And
going
sometimes
on,
emotionally also.
and to take you totally take you out of that quagmire. At times, like you're just caught in a quagmire while you're in the process of research. But a
Yeah.
good mentor has the ability to take you out and like make the most of what you have done. That's important.
So no, ma'am, I completely agree, ma'am. So from your perspective,
Mhm.
how does the guided research differ from an independent exploration, ma'am? Like you see that kids are very curious nowadays. They have
Yeah,
so
very.
much of information everywhere. I mean, all of us rather, we have so much of information, but too much of information also makes you a little confused. It has to
Absolutely.
be in a very guided way, in a very
Yes, yes,
structured
yes,
way. Yeah.
yes.
So if
See,
you're
I think, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
so, ma'am,
You were
like,
saying something?
anything like internet is a pool of knowledge, but where do you dive into that? And, where do you pick up the,
Yeah,
one bucket of water, which is worth? How do you do that? I think that's something very important. So, ma'am, like, from your perspective, how
yeah.
does it done?
I,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that, in fact, I won't my independent research. Both have their own importance, but at which stage that is important. So, if you are a young student, if you are a research scholar, if you are a PhD student, you need to be in the guided mentorship structure because a guided research will tell you about the formalities of research. I mean, research is not something which you just read a book and you say that you can write about it. Research is something very, very technical, very systematic, and it requires a lot of tools, which if you're young, you won't know because you have not been exposed to that. Independent research is very good for people who are researchers, who have gone through
Mhm.
the entire process of PhD, and they're still
Mhm.
researching. I mean, research
Mhm.
doesn't stop. In the quest for knowledge never stops. People, I mean, you must have seen that even the very, very eminent professors, they keep writing, they keep
Mhm.
publishing, they keep pushing their boundaries of the boundaries of knowledge. So for them independent research is very, very good because they can do it. They have the confidence, they have the tools, they have the orientation. However, a young student up to the PhD level, you need to have a guide because you need to be in a formal setup. The formality of research methodology has to be like told to you by someone. If I mean, once you can always do
Yeah.
independent research. Independent
Mhm.
research, there's one advantage, like when you are really a researcher, it gives a lot of flexibility. So it's not in a kind of tight boundary.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
can
it's
know
not
where
nine to
to
five
stop,
job.
where to
Yeah.
go, how to take out, the relevant facts. But guided research tells you about relevance, what needs to be done. I mean, you just can't do without a guide.
So
A
I but
PhD.
it's also, ma'am, guided research, it's a 24/7 job because your brain is always into that because you have an idea now.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
yes. So
Yeah, is there, and there's somebody to tell you. I mean, you keep showing your progress. When you're
yeah,
in a guided setup, it's not that one day you come with a final paper. You're constantly in touch with your mentor, and the mentor keeps telling you what to do and what not to do. So that constant hand holding is
yeah,
extremely important.
extremely
Extremely
very
important.
important, ma'am. So that
Yeah.
is why
I think
every
mentor is a cornerstone of any research,
any I
any
think, yeah,
research.
ma'am. So. I completely agree, ma'am. And that is why probably every research, you see comes with a limitation. So that limitation is basically your next step of research, You take over that
Yeah,
limit. Don't take over that limitation. Make it as your research. So yeah, I mean, so
yeah,
I completely, ma'am, understand. I completely got your point that,
yeah.
what
So it has to be guided
how
research. I mean,
has
there's
to
no
be a
doubt
guided.
about it that anybody who is trying to do research in terms of finding something new, doing some innovation, has to be guided by a mentor. That's goes without saying. I mean, that's
Yeah.
100%.
So, ma'am, with this, ma'am, I mean, I'm so grateful to you, ma'am, to talk to you, to know about your
I'm enjoying
journey.
this whole conversation. It's so stimulating, Niharika. Very stimulating to know about things.
It's so good to talk to you and to know about your journey, ma'am,
Thank you.
yeah. So, ma'am, thank you so
Likewise,
much,
I
ma'am.
thank you.
Thank you. I think it's a very small word, ma'am, out of your busy schedule,
No, no,
taking out
thank
time
you.
for this. Thank you so much. So, yeah,
No,
thank you,
no, I
ma'am,
love this.
yeah,
I
for
love this.
sharing such an incredible journey, ma'am, and so much of
Thanks for giving
invaluable
time.
insight. Yeah. So,
Thanks for very kind
so
response.
to all the audience of global research of students, parents, any researcher, be that of any age, any school, any domain, So it's so clear from this podcast, from this conversation, that research is a powerful tool, not just for your academic growth, but for societal progress and career success. To all our listeners, if you are passionate about making a difference through research, now's the time to take the first step. Stay curious, stay inspired, keep learning. Until next time, this is Global Research, our Hub podcast signing off. Bye bye.